Hey, welcome to this radio channel, and this is the full review of the Tivdio V115 AM FM shortwave receiver. This is a receiver that is very cheap. It cost me 23 Canadian dollars, shipping included from China. That's like 19 US, and it's amazing because there's quite a few things that are incredible in here with this receiver for the price paid. It's first of all, the amount of features that this radio has for the price paid. So of course, just powering it up for a second here, you see a welcome screen. It does say welcome. So this is like a very interesting way with a kind of a dot matrix, screen here. It's very, very interesting. And of course, when you turn it off, it says bye-bye. So anyways, what do I think, and what the full review will tell you here is that, first of all, if you're looking for videos of, listening to stuff, a review is not listening to stuff, okay? A lot of people just don't understand that, well, you talked about it, but you never showed us how it works. That's not a review. A review is not showing you how it works, is explaining what this is and what I think with the tests, the listening that I've done. Okay, if you want to see it working, I got some cool videos that I've posted, and I'll be comparing it to the PL380, which I think is probably the closest in the competition here. So this is a very interesting device. So first of all, if we look at the device, it has, of course, the power button. It has the band switch for FM, AM, shortwave. It does have a keypad entry, which is really, I don't think there's anything below $40 that has a keypad entry. So basically, if I want to listen to a shortwave station, say I'm on the shortwave bands, if I want to enter WRMI, well, I would just enter 11580 and press the button at the bottom to do an enter key, which is very, very interesting and really, really cool. So it is quite interesting and quite amazing. If you've seen some of the videos of my receptions of different stations, you probably found that it is pretty surprising. FM reception, okay, and first of all, before let's just finish with this. Here, there's a earphone jack. Here, there's a line in. There's a SD card, a micro SD card slot here. And there's the little micro USB here to power it. So to recharge the battery. So this receiver actually uses a old Nokia rechargeable lithium-ion battery. So this is the battery that's inside here. So you don't need AA's, you don't need anything like that. And what's cool is that this battery is extremely easy to find if you ever need another one, or maybe you want to have a spare one. On the left side, there's no button here too, so nothing really special except that. One of the things that really is amazing is when you turn it on, and by default it's on FM, is the sound quality of this thing. I'm extremely amazed at the sound quality of this little speaker.
Je suis revenu à Québec pour faire mon bac à l'Université Laval, puis ensuite passage au doctorat à Boston pour étudier à
So let's put it in English for you guys. 885 for the CBC. Here we go.
Seats, and there was no first class, no business class, so all the seats were the same. But they were serviced by very good flight attendants, and there was basically a 3-course meal served with wine and then coffee and cognac for dessert.
So very strong audio, one of the strongest audio of portable receivers I've seen, by the way. It has, a bass, quite a good bass response. You can actually listen to music with this and find that the sound, for what it is, isn't that bad actually. So there's quite a few things here. The Numeric Keypad, very unique. You know, for 20 bucks, there's no radios at 20 bucks that has a Numeric Keypad to direct entry frequency. Pretty amazing. Of course, scan functionalities are there. There's even a menu, a full menu of the features that you can change. And you see here, for example, I can change the different, let's just go back here. So there's, of course, the auto power. You can change the record set, language of the menus. Backlight Chime is actually cool because you can actually set it for 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, but also always. And I like that. That means it always stays on in the display when you're listening. And I love that feature. It does reset when you turn off the radio. So when you turn it back on, if you want to have on all the time, you have to go back into the menu. But it's interesting. Full menu. This is really like a little dot matrix screen, which is very surprising. So all of these features are surprising for such a small radio. It records, it has a little microphone here. It actually records on SD card, micro SD. And I will be demonstrating that in the next few days, by the way. And you can record from the radio, you can record audio by yourself. It's just amazing. It can play MP3s. So if you have some music, you can just insert the MP3, the little SD card in here, and hey, you're happy. So it's very, very cool. And one of the things that I just love about this radio. Now, of course, how's the performance? That's the first thing that everybody that buys a little radio like this is interested in. My purchase of this went for several reasons. First of all, I saw a few YouTube channels and even some of the viewers that actually sent me emails and or comments on the channel saying, you know, I bought this. It's not bad at all. I'm surprised. And for the price, of course, I said, well, I gotta review this. Absolutely. So I'll start with the FM band. The FM band, I actually test out the FM band with something that is very unique to Montreal. I go always to 107.9. So if I go here to 107.9, and I always test it out here. This is the VPR station that's in Vermont. And a good radio usually receives this very well. Now, I've not been able to receive it here in Montreal. So that means the FM part of this radio is good. I mean, you'll receive all your local stations with no problems, but don't expect to receive maybe the weak stations or the faraway stations that you're used to with some receivers. But it does still a good job, and I mean, if you're listening just to local stations, it's quite all right. The medium wave part is not too bad. You know, you can go on the medium wave and listen. I've listened to New York on 880. I've listened to Boston 1130. I've listened to the usual stations that will come into Montreal. Usually come in here and with relative ease. And it's of course a ferret antenna inside that will help you tune and just focused on the stations you're listening to. Now, what about shortwave? And here's I'll give you the very negative point right away for the shortwave bands, and then we'll go to what's good or not. So here's WRMI that you're actually hearing right now, with the end of so this is in between they go into another broadcast at 0100. So you hear that I'm getting WRMI here live right now, of course using just a telescopic whip. The biggest problem, and that's the biggest nuisance and the one that annoys me a lot, is that if you have some strong FM stations close to you, this thing is overloaded by strong FM signals. That means if you live in a big city and that there's a lot of FM stations that are strong around you, you'll have tons of interference from FM stations breaking through all through the shortwave frequency range. That's it's bad enough that it's unless you have a way to actually attenuate that, it actually renders this radio useless if you can't cope with that in some way. So there are rooms in my home, for example, where the breakthrough is so strong that I can't even listen to a station. Also, the second bad thing about this receiver, the internal circuit creates a lot of noise. And I mean, you can see it even more when you collapse the antenna like this, because you hear this weird kind of weird tone in the background, and you see that as you touch the radio, the internal circuitry is actually adding a lot of noise through the radio itself, through the reception. So of course that's also a negative point. You gotta think that this is a $20 radio, so it is of course at the minimal that it can do what it does, and it's already pretty amazing for 20 bucks all the features we get here. But if you find, and you can actually, you know, and the videos that I've posted them from my kitchen. Why? Because in the kitchen, the FM station breakthrough on this receiver is very weak, and the shortwave signals actually can come in. You know, if I would remove the FM station breakthrough, I can tell you that this receiver is actually very sensitive. It gets major international broadcasters easily, yet it's not a DX machine. It's not going to receive weaker signals, mostly because of the internal noise created by receiver. It does block out some of the weak signals. But if you don't have FM breakthrough, if you live in a rural area, a small city where there's like, you know, there's FM station, there's one FM station and it's kind of far away, you won't have any FM breakthrough problem. And you're actually going to have an interesting experience with this receiver. So, you know, it's there's good and bad in here. But once you find a place, and, you know, in my kitchen, when I put it there, I listen to all the major international broadcasters that I would listen in with other portable receivers. And even though, yes, I'm annoyed at the FM breakthrough that this thing has, I still enjoy this receiver, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. And to compare it with other $20 radios that I have in my collection, because I have several, you know, it's not the worst. I have some that are the crappiest thing in the world, and this is not the crappiest thing in the world. It's actually surprising. It's surprising in all of the features it has. The speaker is so surprising that, you know what, I could see myself popping in a micro SD card in here and listen to some music through here in places where I just need, you know, have a little speaker playing some music. It actually is surprisingly good. So, and the last thing, forget about putting long wire antennas on this thing. It's just hopeless. I've just put a 20-25 feet wire on it, and forget it, I can't receive anything anymore. Maybe it's because of the FM broadcasts that are getting stronger when I put a long wire on it, and just now blocks everything out. But kind of interesting. Does not have single sideband, so don't think that this has single sideband. Nothing below 50 bucks has single sideband, really. And as for the range of frequencies, one thing that I also like on this, most of these cheap portables have frequency ranges that are the international broadcast bands. Well, this one is not. This one is continuous from somewhere around 4,700 megahertz, something like kilohertz, sorry. So basically, if let's just try it out here, 4700, press enter. Okay, it's a little further than that. It's 4750, I believe, is the minimum frequency on this thing. It's not very clear in the manual, by the way. Here we go, 4750. Let's go back down. There we go, 4750 to 21850. So it covers a 60 meter band all the way up to the 13 meter band. But it's cool because it's not anywhere. You know, it's not just the international broadcast bands. So if you hear an AM station on 5 megahertz for some reason, well, you can actually, you know, type, whoops, here I pressed 3. You can, you know, type in 55338, press enter, and you'll be in that frequency range that you can listen to. So kind of interesting. It's by 5 kilohertz increment, by the way. You can tune any frequency, and that's a very, very nice positive point, because a lot of stations are out of band. They're out of the international broadcast bands. And when a radio, you know, specifies just the international broadcast band, often they just specify a chunk of frequency, and they miss out on a lot of frequencies very often. So this is fun because you tune whatever you want. For example, the WRMI frequency of 7730, that is a frequency that doesn't exist on cheap portables that have the frequency bands, because they usually don't give this frequency. You can't tune it. It's out of the range because it is not in an international broadcast band. It's way above. At least here you can. You know, if you want to listen to the Cuban lady on 10715, well, you'd be able to do it with this because it does tune that, or 16180. It will tune it. And that is also very surprising for a $20 radio that you can do that. So overall, okay, I can't give this radio too big of a score because of the FM breakthrough that I get. But if you don't have that problem, I can tell you, if I didn't have that problem, this radio would have a high score for what it is. And I think that, you know, here I do have, and it is a very big problem, very strong FM signals. And so I might have much more problem with that than many people. And actually I think I do, because when I see the other reviews of this little radio, from what I see is a lot of people seem to be happy with it. So if you don't live in a place where this radio is overloaded with FM stations everywhere, I think you're getting a very amazing radio for the price. So, you know, I can see this, for example, if I go out camping or something like that far away from the city, this would actually be a pretty surprising little portable receiver to bring along. And I think it is worth the $20 that I paid. You know, I'm happy to have it, and I will be using it for sure. You'll see more videos pop up in the next days and weeks. And this week, look for the compare of signals, and you'll see also with that, you know, the difference in reception between this one, Tivdio V115, and the Texan PL380 that I would consider being the closest in its category for a portable receiver. If you enjoy my videos, and by the way, the battery also lasts a long time, the rechargeable battery, even with the light on continuously, you have many hours of listening. Even when this little battery indicator goes down a little bit, I got to tell you one thing, it's it does last a long time. And by the way, also, if you want to just go into the international broadcast bands quickly, the Shortwave key brings you one international broadcast band at a time. So just to let you know. So pretty cool radio, and of course it has all the little basic bells and whistles, which are the wake up. You know, if you want an alarm to wake up in the morning, things like that. This does have all of those features. If you have questions or comments, let me know. I will, of course, answer any questions you might have about this receiver. I took about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, a little more than 3 weeks to arrive from China. By the way, free shipping and $20 is just amazing. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up, and thank you so much for following us on this channel.